let's go to an interview that took place that maybe President Trump didn't give the feeling that J.D. Vance would be his Valentine for 2028. Okay. President Trump's being asked about J.D. Vance. A lot of talks about him being a presidential candidate for 2028. People are talking about it. And you know how they measure cars 0 to 60, right? This car goes 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds. This car goes 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. I want you to watch how quickly President Trump gave the answer of whether J.D. Vance has his endorsement for 2028. Rob, go ahead and play the clip.
Do you view Vice President J.D. Vance as your successor, the Republican nominee in 2028?
No, but he's very capable. I mean, I don't think that I think you have a lot of very capable people. So far, I think he's doing a fantastic job. It's too early. We're just starting.
But by the time you get to the midterms, he's going to be looking for an endorsement.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that this has been the greatest opening, almost 3 weeks, in the history of the presidency.
It's definitely been the fastest and the most stuff
Well,
happening.
we've done so much, so fast, and we really had to, because they have really, what they've done to our country is so sad. It's so sad. We're going to be bigger, better, and stronger than ever before.
Glenn, thoughts?
I think Donald Trump has he's told me he has a 12-year plan. What he's doing right now is he's got to hit everything he promised in the first 100 days. We're in a tough place with the economy over the next year. If it's not turning in a year, we're in trouble. But to really cement this in, it's going to take him 12 years. I think personally, I wouldn't read too much into that. I think J.D. Vance was a great pick because he could be, but we don't know. We haven't seen him in action. Let's not anoint him the successor to Trump. And I think he's saying that. Let's watch him. Let's watch him and see.
You think that's what it is? You think it's more about him earning it, or do you think, because there's a guy on Monex that keeps Monex to me, Zeus, very interesting guy, and every time he Monex me, it's all about one thing. He just shares stories about another article that talks about President Trump third term. Rob, if you can go on Google and just type in President Trump third term, just type that and see what's come out the last 24 hours, right? Zoom in a little bit. So don't click on any of this stuff. Just read all of them. So what to know about the possibility of Trump serving a third term? That's The Hill, Seattle Times. Trump muses about a third term over and over again. Then you got New York Times. Trump muses about a third term over and over again. No, Trump cannot run for re-election again 2028. Do you think he is lobbying for that, or there's nothing there?
I think this is exactly like everybody freaking out about Canada being the 51st state. Would he like it to be the 51st state? You bet he would. Would he accept Gaza and say, yeah, I'm going to develop that. We're going to have the first 18,000 hole golf course in Gaza. Would he do that? Yes. Is he floating these things? And if the people decide to go along with it, will he do it? Yes. But I don't think I hope not, that he's actively going to pursue that and say, I want the Constitution changed. If he plants the seeds and they grow outside of him, and all of a sudden everybody's like, we got to have him for a third term, would he go along with it? Absolutely.
Vinny, what do you think about the response Trump on JD that quickly?
I mean, like we talked about it before, the fact that he didn't waste 1 second, he knew exactly what was going on. But Glenn, you make a great point too. It's very, very early. And Pat, who knows, maybe that's the kind of fire that somebody like JD needs to hear to be like, oh, okay, you don't think that I could be the president? Let me show you. And he has 4 years to do it. But I think he made a great point that, or maybe he has somebody else in mind. Maybe Trump promised somebody else something, and that's one of the reasons.
Who?
I mean, I don't know.
Tom, what do you think? How do you process that? Because I got a complete different lens, but go for it.
Well, given that we just finished Obama's third term, from
the basement.
And by the way, I'm not trying to get laughs there. When you talk to the insiders and you talk to people that know what's going on, two names came up all the time: Obama and Blinken.
Yep.
And they said, who is this? So if he's not really there and he's really incapacitated, what's really going on? And you would have a series of names, usually not more than 4 or 5, but Obama and Blinken were constantly on that list.
Yep.
So I think we've seen Obama's third term. So, okay, so that is just historical reality when we look back at what really happened. This third term, I think what people are saying is we are really excited that the right guy is in here, as far as we're concerned. We're really excited about what he's doing, and he's already served one term. Wouldn't it be great if he could serve 3? And I think that's what's going on. And there's a lot of cannon fodder out there for that, and people are pushing it. Now, I agree with what Glenn just said, that if I throw the seeds out there and then drop back, and then they get watered and sunlight and grow, and then I step forward and go, look at all this marvelous corn. Of course I'd like to be a corn farmer.
Yes.
Then I think that's kind of the way it works, so that you can. Nancy Pelosi did the same thing in terms of plausible deniability, and then coming back, well, if that's what all of us, what do you mean us? It was you that lit the fuse that put him on stage to have an embarrassment on that debate, Biden. And then you come back and go, well, if we've all evaluated this and we think this is what should be. So this is kind of a political
You
move.
think it is? You think it is? Adam, what's your angle?
I think there's also a harbor he's keeping. I think he's keeping a safe harbor to say, hey, I'm not going to endorse anybody right now.
Right, Adam.
So if I'm going to put myself in Trump's shoes, here's what I'm thinking. I go, all right, I've been president for not even a month now. Everything I've dealt with for the past year, getting almost locked up, criminal convictions, shot in the face, yada, yada, yada. I just got reelected, first time in 100 years since Grover Cleveland, and you want me thinking about what's going to happen maybe in 4 years?
Yes.
I feel like he wants to tell Brett Baer, who he probably respects, shut up and let me just be the president.
Yes.
I've done more in the last 3 weeks than maybe anybody ever.
How many people
get out of my face?
How many people you think wanted to hear that question being asked?
I think for speculation for future markets, sure, but there's going to come a day.
I guarantee you millions of people have been waiting for someone to ask that question. I thought it was a great question by Brett.
I don't think that. I think it's ahead of the parade.
I think so as well.
I think you're about a block ahead of the parade.
I don't know if I disagree, but for the sake of asking the question, I think it's a great question to ask.
Is it a good question to ask if you're Brett Baer? Sure, it's a very obvious question.
Yeah.
But if you're Trump, you're the president, you're doing what you got to do. You think
So shut it down.
Here's my only question. What percentage, if you're Trump or even you guys, do you attribute Trump's reelection to J.D. Vance? What percentage?
I think it was part of a stew. You know, I think they try to kill him, and Elon Musk stands up. And then you start having all of these figures fall in. J.D. Vance is kind of this new guy, got a great backstory. He's Silicon Valley as well. And so you start to have this whole movement around him that is outside of traditional Washington. And so I think he played a role, but not like Elon Musk did.
Not even close, right?
Yeah, not even close.
Would it be
But
fair
he
to say
did-
that Mike Pence probably had more of a role in getting Trump elected than J.D. Vance did? Meaning,
I don't think so.
I think Trump would have ran literally with a ham sandwich and he got elected.
I don't
and,
think-
And no disrespect to J.D., I think he's a beast. I think he's smart. I think he's a great dude. But Trump won the election.
Trump
It
won-
was Trump, and he had to insert a second name.
Yeah,
Period.
Trump won the election. However,
How many
the
cups of coffee
image
did you have today?
of-
Is it just coffee, Red Bull? What are you drinking? You're on fire. I like
You
it.
said Valentine's Day,
Go ahead.
Pat.
No,
I'm
it's
in
good.
love.
the
Wow,
image
this is-
of what Donald Trump is changed. He was a guy who was just shooting from the hip. He's a guy who was just saying outrageous things. After he gets shot, all that temperature goes down, and he just becomes very disciplined and focused. And every pick he makes, everything he does, everybody, all of his supporters are like, "Oh wow, that's good. Oh wow, that's really good." And so he just assembles. It is a team of rivals. He has assembled a team. It's not just the president. It's probably, and for me to say this is remarkable because I can't believe I'm saying this. He may go down as a Lincoln, Jefferson, Washington. He may go down as the greatest president since Washington. And it's not just him. It's, I was talking to Tom Holman last week, and I asked him, how long have you been working on this with the president? And he said, he called me over a year ago, said, "Tom, if I get in, will you serve?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Good. I want to take this down. I want to dismantle How do we do it? He said, we've been planning this for over a year. And that's what all of them have been doing. It's a team.
Then bingo. By the way, I love the team of rivals concept, the whole Lincoln book, phenomenal. So for me, what you just said validates this. Ask the question, is Trump a guy that thinks 5, 10, 15 steps ahead than the other guy?
1,000%.
Okay, so he's already thinking about 2020. Just so everybody knows, and he's already thinking about 2032.
About 2032.
He is. He is thinking about 2032. And for me, in his mind, and I don't blame him for thinking that way, the moment Biden started pardoning everybody, he said, oh, really? Thank you. Thank you. You just made my job so much easier. First time ever you want to pardon your entire family? No problem. You want to pardon Anthony Fauci? You want to pardon Millie? You want to pardon all these guys? You're telling us that they were guilty? No problem. Thank you for making my job easier. But in the back of his mind, he's saying, I lost that one term. Oh, you took that away from me? Didn't one of your guys serve 3 terms? Wasn't that guy serving 3 terms? Wasn't that guy's name FDR? Why can't I serve 3 terms? I'm willing to bet internally in his mind, 28 is his, and don't know how it's going to happen, but in his creative, obsessive, stubborn mind, he's going to find a way to drive the hell out of that and talk to right attorneys behind closed doors to figure out a way to see, even if there's a 5% chance of that taking place. And then on the J.D. Vance side, I also think for him, he's going to be watching to see how JD does, but I think he's got 5 other names in his mind that he's thinking about.
There are 2 things that I have seen Donald Trump do, and I know he used to go to church with Norman Vincent Peale.
I remember. So he would talk about it.
He would go to church there.
Power of positive thinking.
That tells you everything. I was backstage at some arena with him over the summer, and I was concerned about the security, especially his plane. And I said, now we find out that he had dual planes and everything else. He was on it. And I said to him, I'm very concerned. He said, stop. Don't even speak about this. Don't let those words come out of your mouth. Let's move on.
I love it.
Okay, so he doesn't speak, but he does speak things into existence.
Yes.
So when he's saying this, it's exactly like you were saying, that he'll plant those seeds and watch them grow.
And you know what else the other part is? Let me tell you what personally I've experienced this on a very smaller scale is... So I'm watching this video. It's actually a pretty good video to play. Rob, do you remember the video I sent to you guys about what is it? Tyler Perry.
Yep.
Can you play that clip?
Yeah, give me one second.
So Tyler Perry, it's in a PBD Podcast group text. You'll find it. In my life, I watch guys. My level of competitiveness with anybody is I always want to do more for you than you do for me, and it's a way of saying, hey, I'm going to go out of my way, but in return, I expect loyalty if I'm doing this for you, right? You're going to meet more people than you've ever met in your life. You're going to get a lot of opportunities. It's just a mindset when you're building guys an insurance company. Here's what we're going to be doing. And then you learn over time, some of the guys you started doing a lot for too early, and they were not grateful for it. Some of the guys you pumped up a little too early, and they became entitled. Some of the guys you did a little too early and they became arrogant. Some of the guys used your contact to get deals, and then you're like, oh, got it. So until one time it happens, it's just this person. 5 times it happens, no, there's more of you. 50 times it happens, holy shit, I better get a better system to filter people out. So I know in his mind, giving up that endorsement is very, very, very heavy. Valuable. Very heavy. And why would he give that to anybody? You got to hold that to see what's going to happen with him. Rob, if you can play this clip by Tyler Perry, absolutely love this for everybody to watch. Go for it.
My life comes in my life in the category of a tree. Some people are leaves. They come in your life. They're there for a moment. They're there for a minute. They're just there. They're going to give you a little shade, do whatever they need to. But when the seasons change or the winds blow too hard, they can't handle it. So they're out. You can't be mad at leaf people. Leaf people are who they are. Let them be leaf people. Don't be mad at them because they're a leaf. Then there are people who are branches, who are a little bit stronger. You can rely on them to be there through seasons. But if you step out on them too far, they may break and leave you high and dry. So you don't know how much you can trust a branch until they've grown with you for a while. But then there are roots at the bottom of the tree. And if you find people who are like the roots, they're not trying to be seen. They don't need anybody to know they're there. They're just trying to give you what you need to hold you up. And a tree can have way many more leaves and branches than it have roots. So if you have a few roots in your life, you've done really well. And I've been very, very fortunate. God has blessed me with a good handful of roots to hold me up, to hold me accountable, to keep my feet to the fire, and to pray for me.
phenomenal message. So what
Mm-hmm.
what I think he's going through right now is he's trying to find out who the roots are in his administration.
I think he already found them.
I think it's too early with a few of them.
Maybe,
I agree.
maybe.
I agree. But I think it's still too early with a few of them. And what he's proven is he's the alpha amongst alphas. And others can try to argue that he's the alpha amongst the alphas.
Yes.
There is no question about that.
Yes.
So now you can either think like, well, no, I'm going to try to outdo him and out, or you can say, no, I'm going to be one of the roots because I know in return I'm going to get X, Y, Z. That's how I'm processing him not giving up the endorsement that easily.
Makes
And
sense.
I absolutely support the way he did it.
Pat,
Vinny.
who do you think, other than his family, are the actual roots in Trump's orbit?
I think it's less than a handful. And I think Susie is one of them.
Susie Wiles,
I think it's
Chief of
less
Staff?
than a
Okay.
handful. I
Big
think
time.
Susie is such a
I think Cash is one.
Kash Patel.
I think it's still early, but we'll see. To me, and by the way, I'm talking from a standpoint of I've never spoken to Cash, and I don't know the relationship. He's more educated on that to
Yeah,
be
I
able
know
to comment
Cash.
on it. I know you and Cash have done great podcasts
Yeah.
together and great conversations together, but I think that maybe
Cash has been there for a long time for Trump. He's been through the fire with Trump. He trusts Cash Patel.
And by the way, you said family. Family has nothing to do with it. Trust me. The longer you're around, you realize family is not going to be there. Family, they're going to look for their own opportunities sometimes. And, they're going to be like, well, this, that, because they still have a spouse and they're talking to somebody else that's in their ear more than Trump is. But at the same time, there's some that he's like, no, I know for a fact this guy's a true believer of the legacy of the family. That person wants to build their own identity. This person had a falling out. We're probably not going to have a good relationship together for 10 years. That's kind of what that
But
works.
when it comes to family, though, he is a guy who, his sons, they went to work laying wire, pulling wire in his buildings. They all had to start very young and do the most menial jobs all the way up. He required them to prove themselves. He doesn't have a problem if you're creating something in the family. If you're creating something on your own, it's like his son just went out. Barron just went out and started his own thing. That's good. He loves that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
But you have to prove yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the right way to do it. We were at an event it was a Goldman Sachs event in Chicago, St. Regis. Tom, you remember this when we came back. And in this room, I'm sitting in this room, Glenn, and everybody's talking about G5s and G4s and G3s. I'm a G4, I'm a G5. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know there were this many gangster billionaires. Like all these G's are like G's. There was a song back in the days called G's Are On The Move. Who sang the song G's Are On The Move? Can you look up G's Are On The Move? It's actually a great. Can you text it to me? I forgot about this Havoc and Prodigy song. No, don't play it. Just text it to me, Rob, if you can. So anyways,
PBD knows the most random hip hop.
G4, G5, G3, and the main thing that every parent who was a billionaire on stage in their 80s and 70s was being asked is, what do you do with the kids? They got to get an MBA. They got to go out there and work for somebody else. Then they can come back in a family business and work. 3 years, you have to go work for somebody else. But anyways, gentlemen, for you, if you're married or you're dating a girl who watches the PBD podcast and loves valuetainment. By the way, I am being stopped right now more than ever before with ladies that watch the PBD podcast. We did a market research. We realized it was because of Tom Ellsworth, but it's gone up a lot because of the interest and Tom being a family guy, and a lot of ladies want their husbands to be paying attention to Tom and what things we talk about here. There's requests of getting rid of Adam. A guy tweeted me the other day saying, look, don't ever make the mistake of getting rid of Adam. He is this. He starts building up how special Adam is. I'm like, oh, my God, Adam, stop. I thought it was Adam on the other end trying to sell me on himself. And I responded back. I said, I have some bad news for you. We just fired Adam, and he was devastated. Started campaigning, but unfortunately, Adam is back, and we're great to have him. And you guys know we love Adam, but at the same time, this is about Valentine's Day for you and your wives. So let me get back to that message.
It was a nice love message, right?
Yes, it was. You got a little too much last week, and I'm trying to tone it back down for you.
Put me in my place, sir.
You don't need a lot of it. Sometimes when you do you're walking in clouds, and
we don't need that.
Adam's a Hollywood guy, folks. You got to get used to that. But let me get back to you, gents. Valentine's Day, okay? Last week we had the rhinestone shirt with the Valuetainment. You see the black one right there, Rob? Sold out like this. So fellas, good for you for purchasing it for your wives. But that's been sold out. The one that we have now is the red one, red sweater with The VT logo on the front, and the future looks bright on the back. The material is amazing. Absolute amazing material. Rob, we still have some of the pink hats left. If you order today and you put the 2-day shipping, you will get this pre-Valentine's Day, and the first 50 orders, again, special gift will be added in the box. Go place the order. That pink hat was a number 5 selling item we had last week. Not that one, the other one, the bottom left. That one was a number 5 best-selling item last week for Valentine's Day. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.